Peace and blessings, Alafia, Abora, Aboye, Aboshisheo. Greetings, Ayibobo, Salam alaikum salam. All of that good stuff that we greet with in our traditions and our culture. I am just greeting you in love and light. So, um, I'm Iya Remy, or some people know me by Oriyangi, Iya Oriyangi, or even better, Cayenne Nebula. So, I haven't done a live in a minute, but most of my lives are usually on divine energy, the divine masculine and the divine feminine. Knowing our place in ritual, learning our place in society, right? Um, I always touch on this subject because it is a part of everything. Like, we cannot run from the subject no matter how we feel about it, no matter how much we feel like, it's a sensitive subject to touch on. Is something that we always must address, especially when we're dealing with ritual, okay? Um, I did a video a while back called Lines and Circles. You guys can check that one out. That is on my YouTube page under Iya Oriyangi. You can actually find the link to it through Black Root Workers and Conjurers page on Facebook, I believe. And I'm going to go ahead and put it on the IG account that we have. Um, so I took some notes because I know I always ramble, right? So one of the things that I wanted to work on this year is having more order, right? I'm always chaotic. Being a child of Oya, I am always trying to find my center or a balance or even just order in the things that I do, but I question everything. And because I question things so much, I tend to have more enemies than friends. But I feel like you should question anything and everything that involves your soul, that involves your ori. So if you plan on getting initiated into any of these cultures or finding a godparent, you need to ask questions. Do not be afraid of asking questions. I've put myself in many situations by not asking the right questions. Also, consult with your ancestors before making a move. If you don't have a relationship with your ancestors, you really shouldn't be trying to move into any other tradition anyway until you develop a relationship with your ancestors, unless you have something that is really serious going on in your life and you need to move quickly on whatever it is that's going on. um Another thing before I get started, because I have my notes right here. I'm gonna put my notes right here by my drum. So just know what you're getting yourself into. Make sure that you do research, and never let anyone tell you that you cannot. Never let anyone tell you that you cannot question what's going on around you. Don't let them tell you that you can't seek other guidance in different traditions. If you decide to be a part of a family or spiritual house, just make sure that it's right for you, because you're making a big commitment when you choose a godparent. And you want to make sure that you're being taught, you're being loved, you're being protected, and somebody is not just pulling and taking your energy from you, okay? There are a lot of beautiful spaces and homes out here for people. But remember that everything first starts with your ancestors and your own ori, making sure you don't have any mental issues, or if you do, getting those mental issues and everything in order. That's another video though, y'all. So today I wanted to speak on masculine and feminine energy together. I did a video before on just masculine energy, and then I did another video on just female energy, and it was beautiful because I was actually able to get into Odu with one of those videos. With this one, I just want to talk about the masculine and feminine energy in rituals in various parts of life. Okay? By no way in this video am I trying to offend anyone, okay? I am not going against any community. I have respect for all communities, whether it be gay, straight, bi, whatever. I have respect and love for everybody across the cultures. But however, this is a very sensitive subject to touch on. So I mean all respect and giving this lesson, but I am going to speak the truth about the energies of ritual in the various parts of life. If you feel offended by anything that I say, there's a very beautiful book called The Four Agreements. I suggest that you pick that book up and read over it if you're offended by anything that I say. Okay? So, the first thing that I'm going to talk about when I talk about the feminine and masculine energy in ritual and various parts of life is something so simple as what we sit under every day and every night, which is the sun and the moon. Okay, the hot fire energy of the sun and the cool energy of the moon. The sun being the thing that gives us energy in this life, right? Gives energy to all things so that it can grow. And then the moon being the thing that controls the water, right? Which means it controls the energy or the emotions. I'm sorry, it controls the emotions of all things, right? Because it's controlling the water patterns of everything. So when we look at these two energies, we see one thing that is standing up very strong. And if you haven't took science before, you learn this in elementary school. The moon's light is a reflection of the sun, right? Which means however the phases are happening, it is the way that the sun is reflecting on the moon, the reason why you see what the moon is doing. And every phase that the moon is in will cause a certain reaction to the earth because it is controlling the waters. And when you look at the controlling of the waters, you see that our bodies are made up of a large percentage of water, which means the moon has a control over the way our emotions flow. Okay? The sun helps to control the chaotic energy of the moon. If the moon drifts off just a few feet, then the earth is in trouble. So the sun is helping to keep the moon in alignment so that the people of the world can be in alignment also, right? And it gets deeper than that. I'm just giving y'all a simple outlook on what I'm talking about, and we can get deeper into that another day, right? So the sun is vital to our growth, and the moon controls all of our emotions, which means I'm bringing you into a place to help you to understand the direct energy versus indirect energy. So I'm gonna get into a story of something that happened to me, and it was very minor, but it made me think about giving this to y'all. So I was walking with one of my friends who's a Olorisha. We were walking. He took me to a park here in Houston, and we did like maybe a 3 mile walk. But while we were walking, I noticed something that he did. Right, anytime a bike would come up the trail, he would take lead and stand in front of me, and I would automatically just fall behind him. And when I did that, I felt like I can follow his footsteps to know where I need to go because he's much taller than me. So I was like, I'm going to watch him and watch his footsteps because I can't really see in front of him, but I know he's not going to get himself hurt. So I'm going to allow him to guide me. And it was in some way, the first thing that I thought was, why is this man jumping in front of me every time somebody's coming up the trail? And then immediately I noticed what he was doing, and the submission that naturally was inside of me was like every time it happened, I fell behind him. And I knew that he was going to lead, but also at the same time, nothing could hit him. Well, it could hit me unless it hit him first. You understand what I'm saying? So if a man's energy is direct energy and a female's energy is indirect energy, then that means that a man should be able to lead and a woman should be able to follow comfortably. So this is the problem in our society right now. Men are not leading and women are not following. And by no means at all am I saying that you're supposed to submit to every man you meet. And by no means at all am I saying that men, what is wrong with you, Carter? What are you eating on? And by no means at all am I saying that men are supposed to lead all the time or not even, take the lead, or that they're not good leaders. But in society today, the energy is kind of off balance. um Men don't want to lead, men want to be taken care of, and men and women don't want to be taken care of, they want to be independent. So it's like there's this clash, right? So let me tell you how this throws us off a little bit, okay? A positive and a negative attracts, okay? If one energy is positive and the other energy is negative, it works together to get things to move, to bring life. But if you have a positive and a positive and you try to bring that energy together, it will retract, it will repel. Okay? Which means when that negative and negative, or that positive and positive tries to come together, they will never meet because they push each other away. They do not complement each other. This is why in a lot of rituals that we do in the cultures, there must be a masculine energy and a feminine energy present. There is not a mother without a father. There is not a father without a mother. A spiritual house cannot run if there are not two energies that are working together in balance. And sometimes, just like in a single parent home, we have to get that energy from elsewhere. And that's where community becomes important. Because if a masculine energy is not present, there should be another energy that is masculine that can step in and help in that area. If a feminine energy is not present, there should be another energy, a feminine divine energy, to step in and help in that area, okay? So that's just one thing. And I'm about to step on some dangerous grounds, y'all, with a lot of things that I'm about to talk about. And I pray that y'all still love me after my trials. So, one thing I will tell you, if a man's energy is direct and a woman's energy is indirect, a man's energy is giving and a woman's energy is receiving. A man is represented by the shaft of his penis, and a woman is represented by her womb, where she receives. So a man gives her light. She holds on to that light and she creates something inside of her chaos to birth another light, right? And so this whole process couldn't happen without the masculine and the feminine energy working together. But the man is a giver, the woman is a receiver. The man is a leader and the woman is a follower, right? You can pay attention to these things in different organizations that you may become a part of. This is not saying that women are nothing. I do not want feminists getting on my posts talking about, well, nah, this we can do what they. The reason why we fucked up right now today is because of all these different organizations and everything else, right? When we just need to learn how everything naturally flows. Again, and I gotta keep on putting this out there, this is not disrespect to any alphabet, okay? I'm simply stating the rules of ritual, okay? A positive and a positive cannot create. A negative and a negative cannot create. In order for us to create energy in the spiritual cultures or to do initiations in the culture, there must be a positive and a negative. There must be a masculine and a feminine. There must be direct energy and indirect energy. There must be a giver and there must be a taker. But also in life, right? Something I see a lot of men complain about nowadays. She got to have her own job. I'm not taking care of no woman. If a woman asks for this, she is a gold digger, right? The natural energy of a woman is to receive. It is to receive. The natural energy of a man is to give. It is to lead, right? And I know what you're going to say. Well, these women don't listen. And then the women are going to say, these men don't know how to lead. And that is what's happening nowadays. You may have a small percentage of men that are ready to lead and a small percentage of women that are ready to follow, right? There is a small percentage of women that want to be submissive, but a lot of women are afraid because they feel like a lot of men don't lead. And what happens, there's this big war with men and women in a society, especially in the black society. But remember when I said, if we fight against each other, that means our energy is not meeting with each other, which means we are not growing, because we need both in order to give life, in order to grow, in order to have abundance, in order to have love and prosperity and all good things, all array, in order for us to have these good things in life. So, if the natural energy of a man is giving and the natural energy of woman is receiving, that means that at some point in time we have to understand and recognize that if we go back to our natural roles, especially in ritual and culture, then we will find that we become more majestic. We will find that we grow more in abundance, and we will find that we'll be able to overcome a lot more situations, okay? There is an agenda that's being pushed. And I have, like I said again, nothing against anybody or their lifestyle, but we have to be careful of what our enemies are putting into our TV, putting into our school, the medicine that they're giving our children, right? We're allowing the enemy to teach our kids, so don't expect it to be good lessons that come back. So I said I was talking about the giving and receiving, okay? This is so crazy because I read this quote before, and it said, whatever you give a woman, she will make greater, right? If you give her sperm, she will give you a baby. If you give her a house, she will give you a home. If you give her groceries, she will give you a meal, right? If you give her a smile, she will give you her heart. And if you give her bullshit, you know what you're going to receive. Because if anything you give her amplifies, right? That means the bullshit will amplify if you give that to her. But if it is love and life and understanding and peace that you are breathing into the woman that is receiving from you, then from her you should get all the rays of light, right? So if you are leading as a man, if you are directing as a man, if you are putting the energy the energy into the woman that you want to make into your wife, or even if you are putting energy into your daughters, right? You're going to amplify that energy or that blessing that you're giving to them, okay? Men have really good energy to lead. Their energy is order. That's another thing. Woman's energy is chaotic. Male energy is order. Male energy is light. The female energy is darkness. Male energy is the sun. The female energy is the moon, the water, right? Women are going to naturally be emotional. Men are more logical and women are emotional, okay? So a lot of times when you're are worried about why your wife is always arguing so touchy about different situations, it is because women are naturally emotional. It's not it's not like balance for a man to be acting out emotionally. Now this is not saying that a man does not have a right to be emotional, right? A man has all right, because inside of darkness that is light. Inside of light, there is darkness. So a man still has to get in touch with his feminine, and a woman still has to get in touch with their masculine. But they cannot be over masculine, and a man can't be over feminine, because then these things start happening like that, positive and positive, and everything starts to repel, right? So one of the things that I noticed in relationships is that, or even like organizations, with me being a matron, I noticed that Grand Master sending my chapter actually brings order, right? So I can talk till I'm blue in the face to the sisters, and they're going to agree to a certain extent, but that masculine energy steps in and says, this is what it is, and then all of a sudden, the whole room agrees, right? But masculine energy turns chaos into order. But women can also turn their own chaos into order. It's just about learning your chaotic abilities and then transferring it into an enlightenment ability, like becoming more logical and kind of learning how not to take things personal or deal with things the incorrect way. But if a man's energy is order, and a woman's energy is chaotic, and a man learns how to come in and bring order to that chaos, it shows you again that this masculine energy is supposed to be a lead and this feminine energy is supposed to be submissive. But why are we missing the punch, right? These are just questions that we have to ask ourselves, right? Society is becoming very difficult. And I guess this is the part where this gets nasty, right? Society is becoming very difficult. Everybody wants to identify as something. And it's perfectly okay with you choosing to live your life the way you choose to live your life. But energy is going to be what it is as the way that you are genetically born. Okay? Which means if there is a ritual that has to take masculine energy and feminine energy to work together, it must be masculine energy the way it is born and feminine energy the way that it is born, the way that it comes out the womb. Not the way that we feel like we are, but scientifically the way that we are made. Okay? So I just want you guys to just get a little bit of understanding of ritual and some of the various ways of life dealing with feminine and masculine energy. And I have to say this because even some of our rituals and our veves and vemas and all of these things are built based off the masculine and the feminine, are different elements of the world or the earth. And we have to make sure that we put it together or we can cause death. We can cause destruction. We can cause loss. And if you look at the way society is right now and how so much sickness of the mind, body, and spirit is present, then we would understand that there is a lot of natural ways we have to go back to. And I'm not saying change your orientation or who you are or what you identify as. I'm saying that your ritual must still be scientifically correct. I love y'all to life. I pray that you take this message with good heart. I love you, and there's absolutely nothing that you can do about it. Until next time, again, I am Iya Oriyangi or Iya Remy. Also go by the name Cayenne Nebula. And you can find my videos on YouTube. So peace and light. Bye bye.